Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of the Mantra podcast, a podcast where we delve deeper into the minds of the CXOs to figure out what next. As you know, due to the pandemic, demand for better digital experiences has seen a massive surge. Healthcare organizations are prioritizing investing in digital health initiatives to create more personal, more convenient engagement between doctors and patients. Today, I am in conversation with Dr. Naresh Yallapragada, who's Group CIO at Krishna Institute of Medical Sciences, Hyderabad, and Parag Sharma, who's the CEO at Mantra Labs. Here we'll be talking about upcoming trends, opportunities, and challenges in creating better digital experiences for the healthcare ecosystem. To give a brief introduction, Dr. Naresh is a healthcare IT leader with over 19 years of experience in delivering IT projects to healthcare institutions under different categories. Widely traveled with good knowledge on healthcare industries around the world, he has been into product development, consulting, and IT implementation in India and the US. Trained in health informatics in the UK, his expertise lies in telecare and telemedicine, EMR, EHR, hospital information systems, etc. Parag is a 2002 IIT Kanpur alumnus who has been instrumental in successfully building products such as FlowMagic, a visual AI no-code application development platform for businesses. A keen technologist at heart, he's focused on bringing to fruition Mantra Labs' vision to be a global leader in AI-based customer-centric intelligent experience innovations. Thank you so much for joining Dr. Naresh and Parag. I welcome you to this episode of podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks, Divya.
Okay, so shall we begin?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm very excited. So just to do a little recap, since the pandemic began, digital and healthcare have never been so closely associated with each other. Patients as well as doctors have embraced digital channels ranging from bots, mobile apps, EHRs, etc., to receive and provide better care services. So on-demand care delivery has become a key differentiator for patients. So turning to you first, Dr. Naresh, keeping the patient's need for healthcare at fingertips at the central, how can healthcare enterprises use digital health tools to make patients feel more engaged in and motivated for the treatment, leading to better retention and to capture their opinions or feedback that in turn informs into a decision making?
Well, Divya, to answer your question, maybe I will answer that in three sections. One is that, as you rightly said, the use of technology within the healthcare ecosystem has been very nascent over a period of time. Maybe when you compare it to a banking or when you compare it to an aviation sector, healthcare has been very slow adoption. Thanks to the pandemic, at least every hospital of whatever size it is, they've tried to use technology at least to continue their care to patients and obviously draw new patients to their facilities. So, but to answer your question in terms of how can technology really help, I think the one is from a patient perspective, I think the accessibility to care, be it an emergency situation or be it a routine consultation. I think technology has really come to the spotlight after the pandemic, right? Initially, telemedicine as a concept is quite brilliant, but the reason why it didn't take off, at least in India, is who's going to foot the bill, right? Will the patient pay the bill? Will the hospital pay the bill? Will the insurance company cover those transactions? No one had kind of be very clear on that idea. That's the reason, after the pandemic started, every patient or every hospital had their own, online consultation tool. The way their uptake went up was quite significant. So every patient, whoever they wanted to meet a doctor, either chronic patient or an acute patient, they use such technology to reach out to their doctors. And one advantage with the patients had with such sort of a commercial application is the range of doctors they can talk to, right? Initially, they had gone to one doctor, to one hospital to meet and, understand what the problem is and get treated. But here, the option is that you can talk to any number of doctors of any specialty, any facility, etc. So the options have gone up. The technology has given them accessibility for patients to reach out. right? But from a hospital perspective, every hospital is trying to be digital first, right? When you say digital first, there are different mediums in which you kind of trying to reach out to the patients. One is obviously your social media marketing in terms of getting what patients want and offering those services. That broadly comes under the accessibility portion. Second is, once the patient is in the hospital, there are so many touch points through which the patient traverses in his or her journey in the hospital. Is trying to understand where the problem is, what this data points give them info, which can help them better deliver even a better care to patients. So in summary, I think digital is always, is in focus right now. I hope it continues, right? But both from an accessibility perspective and from a continuation of care perspective, technology is really helping both patients and hospitals to perform better.
Absolutely, absolutely. Parag, would you like to add?
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you, Divya. So yes, as rightly pointed out by Dr. Naresh, it was overall acceptance both by hospitals, their physicians and patients to these new digital technologies that was erstwhile missing. There were hardly any government regulations which came into place only after the pandemic started. So things which took them years to contemplate over actually got into shape within a very short span of time during the pandemic. So that was definitely one of them which helped the entire ecosystem to quickly move towards acceptance of technology tools. Secondly, in terms of patient experience also, hospitals realize that the patients are not coming in to their hospitals and they have to do something to continue to provide care to their patients. And these technology tools provided an immediate solution to it. Patients, so of course, they were hesitant in stepping over to the hospital. So they were able to reach out to the specialists and doctors that they wanted to from the comforts and safety of their home. So all of these things together, it really helped push forward the digital movement in hospitals, in healthcare providers. Secondly, I would also like to add one additional point on patient experience. So earlier, even if I have to, let's say, go and physically visit a doctor, first I have to take an appointment over phone or something, then I have to go there, make a visit, stand in the queues, get my number, clear off my bills. It used to take a lot of time, which now was saved because I could easily book an appointment over my application and I could pay all my bills, get all my reports on the mobile application itself. So the entire connectivity and the way it became so seamless and comfortable for the entire patients, not just for the patients, but also for the hospitals from an operational standpoint. It became so easy and convenient that there was no way hospitals would not see the benefits coming out of the technology adoption. And that was the reason why it really helped move forward.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
Sorry, please go on.
Yeah. So, Dr. Naresh, on the second thought, I was thinking that India definitely is a very diverse ecosystem, right? Diverse country with so many people. Most of the applications of technology that we had seen so far, of course, we are still in a nascent stage. We have not yet reached to a point when every single patient is able to access technology on their own. We still find a lot of usage of English language in these technology tools. Do you think that technology companies who are providing these solutions, if they adopt more vernacular, more local and regional languages, that will help then see more and more adoption of these technology tools?
Obviously, it will definitely help patients to understand their condition better. But again, it depends on the geography you're looking at, right? For a hospital working in a tier 1, tier 2 cities, primarily all the patients who come are educated ones, right? But there are people who are not so educated, right? Who come and avail those services. So any application, be it a patient portal, be it a mobile app which the patients can download and start using, a patient portal on which I can log in and see my reports, right? A conversation with a nurse. If I'm a chronic patient, I need to have that constant conversation with my doctor, my patient, my nurse, etc. all these being available in a vernacular language will definitely help the compliance aspect of the patients who don't understand English really well. I think at a conceptual level, it is quite brilliant. Yes.
That's right. So yes, I mean, our thought process on this point was very similar, and with that thought process and insight in our approach, we had come up with this multilingual bot for healthcare enterprises, which addresses all of these use cases in healthcare from a very general localized language perspective. So we cover almost 50 plus languages with 16 plus Indian languages. So it's really able to take healthcare and understanding of healthcare to people who are not necessarily very comfortable with the English language. So, of course, I mean, while we understand that these presence of these tools and advent of these tools is helping drive the adoption, at the same time, we are also seeing very interesting initiatives coming up from the government itself, which for many years were absolutely absent. One of such initiatives is an NDHM initiative from the government in the last 1 year. We expect the NDHM movement to start connecting almost all healthcare providers, be it hospitals, diagnostic labs, and so on, and bring significant benefits to patients. How do you think a roadmap in terms of adoption of NDHM should be for a hospital, and do you think it will be relevant for hospitals to come onto this NDHM bandwagon, even though there are no really mandatory requirements from government yet?
From a government perspective, I think NDHM is a very good initiative which the government has embarked upon. Right, the way in which they are trying to understand the ecosystem, get everybody to go through the documentation which they had made, right, and have subsequent live interactions with all the stakeholders, is a very good approach in terms of, because it's an inclusive kind of an approach. Yes. It's just not that okay, I make the decision and then you just follow. It's not the approach. The approach which is that it's an inclusive approach. We put forward our thoughts, you put forward your thoughts. Let's agree on something, and obviously it has to meet the objective, overall objective of the project, and take it from there. So as a concept and from an approach perspective, it's going well, right? But the next question is, will it really help all the stakeholders in the healthcare ecosystem? I think it will take time. In one of the conversations with the NDHM, one of the webinars, I think the person was mentioning that the whole UPI thing, which with Niti Aayog started, it took about 18-20 months for them to at least get everybody understand what a UPI is, how transactions are made over a UPI, how each bank can create, or each person can create their own UPI with the bank they have, right? It's an 18 or 20 month journey just for a UPI transaction. But when you compare it to such scale in terms of in the healthcare industry, with so many stakeholders involved, both private, public, patients, labs, diagnostic centers, etc. So it's a huge effort.
Yes.
But obviously it's an effort with an objective in mind, right? So we have to make that effort. I think I'm really happy with the way these things are moving. I think I'm hopeful that it'll see the light of the day in India.
Wonderful. We are also closely knitted and connected to the entire NDHM ecosystem, and we have developed a solution that will help healthcare providers connect to the NDHM backbone. And we are, of course, seeing a good amount of traction and initiatives from hospitals to come and adopt, or at least try how it can benefit their patients and their staff in terms of getting a more seamless experience of their services to their patients. So I'm very glad and happy to see the overall enthusiasm around this NDHM thing, especially in the hospitals and other healthcare providers. Moving on, Dr. Naresh, I'd like to talk about a bit more of at-home care services and how the entire digital ecosystem is helping provide on-demand healthcare. So what do you think are the basic tenets that any healthcare provider should keep in mind while designing and architecting their on-demand healthcare services, given the fact that more and more people are now comfortable accessing healthcare from the comforts of their home?
I would take that question in two phases. One is from a home care perspective, right? The technology which a hospital would provide is the scope is quite huge, right? So after I get discharged from the hospital, right, I go home, but I need my continuous care to happen for the next 2-3 weeks till the time I recover. I don't want to be in a hospital because all my parameters are normal, my hemodynamically I'm stable. So that's in hospital says, "Okay, you go home and take rest." From that moment on, obviously the patient and their attenders would expect some sort of a dialogue with their care providers, right? So the entire application, such as a patient portal or a telemedicine application, through which the nurses and the primary consultant can have a perspective of how the patient is doing, right? Both their vitals, we have all those vitals in the market which can really read my blood pressure, my blood glucose, and send it over to the doctor for them to review, right? Such tools, such devices integrated with a patient portal and a telemedicine application can really help the hospitals continue their care to patients who've got discharged and at home. That is from one perspective of patients who got discharged. The other perspective is, I'm at home, I'm fine, but I just want to do a consultation, right? For whatever problem, I think there's a problem. I don't want to go hospital because of this pandemic going on. I just want to consult a doctor over a phone, right? So there are so many commercial applications in the market which enable you to have that conversation, right? But the other way is, some of the hospitals have built their own telemedicine applications of late, right? Through which whenever a patient consults a hospital, they are given a link. Going forward, whenever you want to talk to a doctor, you please download this application and start talking to the doctor, right? So such applications will really, one, obviously solve the problem which the patient has. If it's a small problem, it doesn't need an admission, walk into a hospital and get admitted. Second is it'll help reach out, from a retention perspective, right? Obviously the hospital would know how many patients have reached out to me through this medium, what problems they have. Do they really need a follow-up? If they need an admission, they again reach out. So you need to get admitted. Please come and get admitted. So it will help both, solving the acute problem as well as retaining the patient and post-op after the discharge care also.
Very insightful, Dr. Naresh. If I may stretch this argument a bit further, to think of what kind of new technologies in the form of AR and VR healthcare providers are now considering using. We have already seen a lot of adoption of these technologies in the West, where people are using these tools and technologies for education purpose. They're also helping patients to understand what's going on, right? And how does their body works? And in case if some function is not functioning as it should, then what is the reason and how they can actually see for themselves. So earlier, the doctors used to try to explain to the patient as to what is going wrong and what the treatment is that it is going to fix up that particular function. Now these tools are able to give a visualized experience to patients. Do you think that this will help patient recover better because they feel that they are in more control of their health?
I think if you, from a hospital perspective, you have multiple stakeholders. You have doctors, you have nurses, you have physiotherapists, etc. As you rightly said, from an education perspective, right? These technologies really help them to understand, learn, and perform, right? That is one. From a provider perspective, right? Where we used to be in, learning clinical stuff, we were all on paper, right? We used to, imagine, okay, this nerve start from here, goes there, branches out like this. It's all imaginary, right? There were no models with which we can play around, understand, so that our retention capacity goes up, right? But at least those technologies are available now, right? Which is really good for people to learn. Coming back to patients, I think the more important perspective is the compliance of patients to treatment, right? As in the West, what I have seen is they take the patient through the journey of treatment. It's just not that, doctor says take ABC, patient says ABC, forget C, then he takes D without telling the doctor and lands up in problem, and again he comes back to the hospital, right? To avoid all that, right from day one, if the doctor can, put the patient on the journey, help him understand the problem, show such, tools where, okay, this is how your heart looks like, right? A 3D image or a moving, image kind of a thing. Okay, this is a normal heart, this is how your heart is working. this is the areas where the problem is, this drug will treat you, this is the problem we are trying to address. So the whole understanding of the patient, of the problem really goes up, right? And then they will understand the problem better, they will understand the treatment better, and the compliance rate to the treatment will go tremendously. So it's a really good technology.
Absolutely. And we are all looking forward to seeing more and more usage of this technology in India. We all know that it is extensively being used in the West, but we have not really seen a lot of adoption yet here in India. But probably there is some amount of work that companies like us are doing in that direction, and we hope that they will find more and more adoption in the upcoming
Parag,
years.
is that initially off-the-shelf products which are made on such technologies is a standard. Okay, this is the normal heart. This is how a normal heart works. That's it. But can the MRI or a CT scan images, or you do an MRI, right? So the MRI image, can it really come out and show it in this format, a 3D image of a heart, of the patient's heart himself or herself?
Yes.
Will be really helpful,
That's
right? It just not we show the normal heart. I know that's a normal heart. How is my heart? You tell me how is my heart. That is what was more matters, right? So that the MRI and the CT images should be so confident that those images come out. We build the patient's a 3D model and then show him that this is how it will work. I think that's a challenge for tech companies to solve.
Yes, I think that makes a great sense for people to start looking and see how this kind of technologies can bring benefits to everyone.
Absolutely. I think that was very insightful. And so, coming towards the end of the podcast, I'll just like to conclude with a few lines. Thank you so much, Dr. Naresh, with the really good, sharing your perspective and your insights on how these new the upcoming technologies and tools can be beneficial, and where are the areas where we need to, the tech companies and the hospitals should be looking forward and be working towards. Thank you so much, and I'd like to thank Parag also for participating in the session and sharing your perspective and your knowledge. It was indeed a very interesting conversation. Thank you so much. And so here ends the second episode of the Mantra podcast. And so stay tuned. We'll be coming up with more such nice podcasts with industry experts. Till then, see you soon. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you, Divya.
Thanks, Divya.
Thank you.
Thanks, Parag. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you, Dr. Naresh.
Thank
See
you.
you.